Everybody, welcome back to Wicked Good Sports. This is At the Buzzer, and I'm joined, as always, by Jack Tiernan. Jack, how you doing?
Doing good, Brian. Thanks for having me.
And Ryan Flynn. Ryan, how you doing?
Brian, I'm also doing well, thanks.
So crazy trade deadline here. Probably one of the crazier ones we've seen in years. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, 100%. At least better than last year, right? Like we were saying, like this is a lot more involved with a lot more superstars on the move, or even fallen stars, you could say. For sure, kind of wild.
Two huge blockbuster trades, yeah, I would say.
Yep.
Like the Kyrie and KD trades. I mean, yeah, we haven't seen
Shakes
two
the league
trades
up.
like that in a bit. Yeah, it's big. And where they went to, we now have two. We now have two like basically super teams, like kind of what the NBA has moved away from.
Yeah, not anymore. It's back and better than ever.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the person who's probably suffering the most from it is LeBron, who famously kicked off the super team era, or at least I feel like people don't give the Celtics shit for it because they also made a super team, but the Heat really made a super team right after. But yeah, if you want to hear more about the Kyrie trade, Ryan and I covered it earlier in the week. That's, of course, on the channel. Jack, do you have any thoughts on it just off the dome?
I mean, off the dome, I think you probably didn't have this bit of info at that point, but Mark Cuban saying that Luka is the best ball handler and Kyrie is the second best ball handler is asinine. I will say that it's going to be very interesting seeing how they work together, considering they're both, I don't want to say ball dominant, but I mean, pretty ball dominant. I think you can have Luka play the two. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be fun to watch. I think the Mavs they've elevated themselves with this trade for sure.
Yeah, so from one former Nets superstar to another, Kevin Durant, of course, traded to the Phoenix Suns, looking to get back to the NBA Finals like they were a couple years ago. Ryan, first reactions to Kevin Durant being traded to the desert?
Big new owner move.
Yeah,
It's a very classic new owner move to me. It's just like, just going for the top guy. The positive thing I kind of yield from it, and this is what I've kind of always said, I've never thought of Devin Booker as a 1A star. I just don't. I do think he's served a lot, so going to serve a team a lot better as like 1B. And, they got one of the very few guys, and probably the only guy they could, where it's never going to be a question of who's the best player on the team between him and Booker. It's undisputed, right? Devin Booker is number 2. Durant is the guy.
Right.
And I think that is important. It's interesting, though, because I just think you think about all the stuff with Ayton, the fact that he wasn't traded. Durant's just another guy who's going to hold him very accountable and probably, maybe not, I think it seems like he might just get kind of frustrated with him if he's not putting in all his effort. So I think that could just further sour the chemistry. It's also a question of Chris Paul staying healthy, and they did trade some key pieces, but overall, I mean, it definitely, if you wanted to try to win a championship this year, it was your best move. It's just the effects of in the future,
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'm guessing they're like, look, Chris Paul not getting any younger, although he's still playing well, of course, but how long? And then, they got to hope that KD's MCL stays perfectly intact. It didn't work out for the Nets, but also I think, I saw a lot of memes about like 1 inch changed the course of NBA history with Durant's toe on the line a couple of years ago in the playoffs to now this. And Godspeed to Ben Simmons taking over as the star for the Nets. Hopefully it goes well. We're all rooting for you now. Now that Kyrie's gone, we're all like, pulling for you, Ben. But yeah, Jack, what are your thoughts on KD to Phoenix?
I think KD is the most known commodity out there, right? He's a pure scorer. He's got insane length. He can score from pretty much wherever he wants. And he's, freaking 7-footer who can drain threes, like that. Anytime you can do that, like he's going to be a good asset for any team, right? KD can go on and I like what Ryan said. He's like obviously undisputed the number 1, like on this team. Devin Booker is going to be a great 2. think Jaylen Brown is still better too, if you ask me, but I'm biased.
Me
I
as
think,
me as well, but
yeah,
there are things Booker does better than Brown. It's just
agreed.
Brown's more well-rounded to me,
Totally agreed. Totally agreed.
and
But
the
I think
size and athleticism.
the size helps.
Eh,
Yeah, exactly. He's better. But I think
agree.
KD obviously moves the needle there, and it already, the West was really crowded, so you saw a lot of teams out in the West try to make these moves to move the needle a little bit here. Um, while as a Celtics fan, obviously for the three of us, right, that's great because you see a lot of dudes leaving the East and becoming much less of contenders. Um,
Mhm.
so that's big for us. One less person to worry about. We own the 76ers like nobody's business. So I think, yeah, for the Suns, obviously great move. Um, however, they're really mortgaging their future here with the picks and who they gave up for that, I think.
Yeah, like you said, the East has gotten weaker, and there's a rumor. I don't know how true it is that the Heat missed out on a trade because Pat Riley was asleep. He was resting
Oh.
today, so that's tough. Pat, obviously a legend, but getting older, and may it cost the team.
What was the trade?
Yeah, I missed that.
Let me see if I can pull it up. And while I do, Ryan, the West it's getting stronger. LeBron, he passed, Kareem. Shout out
Mhm.
LeBron, great. And then he told the owners to blow the team up and get everyone out of here. I hate them all. What do you think of the moves the Lakers made today?
I will say overall, it's like it kind of made me think like when did this front office get semi-competent?
Yes,
Um,
same.
but the most questionable one, and this is the big trade, was the acquisition of D'Angelo Russell. It is going to be kind of a weird fit with LeBron. Again, you kind of have some of similar stuff. He not that he's quite like Westbrook, and he's shooting really well from three, but he is definitely a score first point guard. Um, you know, so we'll see how that goes. But he is shooting really well. I mean, Malik Beasley and I think the other one was Vanderbilt. Definitely great role
Mhm.
players to have on that team, right? We've been saying this forever. When you have LeBron and KD or AD, sorry, you don't need a third star, right? I don't even think they need a D'Lo. I think they should have just maybe got one or two other role pieces. You just need shooters, defenders. Vanderbilt's good, but they didn't acquire it, improve a lot defensively. Russell is a liability. I think he might even be worse than Westbrook defensively
I think
because
so.
at least Westbrook has like that just like crazy athleticism and can kind of come off steals and like get some blocks. As where Russell is just pretty slow at this point for a point guard off the ball.
Yeah.
So overall, I do think it makes them more competitive. Do I think it makes them even like Western Conference Finals contenders? Given AD's health, LeBron's age, I don't think so. But it certainly puts them more into the discussion for as a playoff team as opposed to maybe a play-in team. And I thought the Mo Bamba, Thomas Bryant, I think that's just like a tough role player to get rid of for me.
Yeah. Same.
But I do get it. Like, you kind of at this point, like with these guys, you want a backup center who can stretch the floor. It's not a bad thing to have, and Bamba can shoot, if nothing else, for his height.
Yeah. What's weird to me, and sorry, I didn't mean to jump in here, but I'm confused by the Pat Bev. Um, I I don't understand. Is the direction of that backcourt now, or are they trying to just go offense powered? Like because you get D'Lo,
Mm-hmm.
obviously, right? You ship out
Yeah,
Russ,
that is another true. But yeah, I didn't even
and then
touch
Schroeder.
upon that.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to figure out. I'm like, you definitely downgrade on defense here because
Mm-hmm.
Thomas Bryant was solid on defense,
He
right? Like
is, decent. Like he's passable. Yeah, he's maybe not a
that's what.
defensive stopper, but he's solid. Yeah.
But yeah, exactly. He can guard the paint, right? And
Mm-hmm.
that's why I'm confused as to what this seems like another LeBron. Like I'm sick of these people. Like blow it up, get out of my face. Let's figure something out here. And I don't. I mean, it's wait and see, I guess, right? We'll see if this ended up being useful. But my initial reaction for the Lakers is this is really weird. Russ was doing really well coming off the bench. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know, like we don't know how Schroeder and D'Lo are going to play together, right? Is Schroeder the starting shooting guard now? Like what's happening here, or is that still Reeves? Like I don't really know what the direction of this is, and I feel like it's kind of as it has seemed with the Lakers and LeBron, just kind of like a glob of players just kind of thrown together and saying like figure it out pretty much. So play around LeBron basically.
Yeah, I think I would imagine Schroeder would come off the bench because I
I do
really
too.
don't really like him but I mean that's really it's just horrible defensively there.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, like I don't.
Backcourt, or maybe screw it, go point LeBron.
Yeah, I mean you could.
You could
Right?
you could go point LeBron, Russell at the shooting guard, and then you could have
Yes.
you really want to, you could probably do like your 4 and 5 can be Bamba and Davis.
And Davis, yeah, that's what I'm thinking too.
Bamba
It's
could
gonna
even
be
be a
so
stretch.
weird.
Bamba could be a stretch 4, maybe.
He could. He can shoot. He technically could. Maybe not an effective one, but he could be one.
Yeah, I don't know that Russell would love be a shooting guard.
Me either.
Defensively, it would be pretty bad, but I almost think it at this point on that team, I would rather have him be the shooting guard, just
Same.
take the ball out of his hand.
Yeah,
and he is shooting pretty well. He's shooting as of late, I think it's like 45% from 3.
Right, keep that up. They'll love that.
I mean, he's not going to do that forever, and he can be pretty inefficient.
He is, yes, yep.
And I mean, he burned some serious bridges in LA. I mean,
I was just gonna say he and Swaggy P got into it. If I remember.
Yeah,
correctly.
he was a real handful there. But I mean, you look at him and he looked like he was like a teenager. He was a kid.
Yeah.
But even if he hasn't grown in terms of his basketball IQ and like ability to develop in that way, he's obviously come around a lot as a person. I think
for sure.
Right, he's not that D-Lo anymore, so
no.
He'll at least have an opportunity to redeem himself with LA fans. We'll see.
Yeah. So take this with a grain of salt. This is just like a screenshot from what looks like a blog on Twitter. Not the most reliable source. But it says that the Heat reportedly had a deal set in place with the Clippers that had nearly been finalized, though tough to believe given Pat Riley's staunch history of professionalism. According to several sources, he was, quote, resting as the Heat's front office was trying to get his approval for the deal. So it doesn't say exactly what was involved. Again, take it with a grain of salt, but there are a lot of memes now off of that. And yeah, tough scene for the Heat there. But other than the trades that we've talked about so far, Jack, what do you think the biggest trade is?
Well, we touched on all the Lakers stuff. We touched on I mean, the biggest is interesting. We touched on
biggest
KD,
or
obviously.
most interesting, whatever,
I won't steal Ryan's because I think I know where Ryan's going for the most interesting if I had to pick. But I guess I'll be proved either right or wrong here. I think I'm gonna go with a trade that like was kind of a shuffle between a bunch of dudes here. The Saddiq Bey, James Wiseman, Gary Payton trade that went down. A 4-way trade. So Hawks get Saddiq Bey, Pistons get certified draft bust James Wiseman, and the Warriors return of the mitten Gary Payton Jr. or 2, however you want to call it. He's back, man. He's back. I think that's really interesting because it goes to show that the Warriors were like, damn, like we missed out. Like we miss you, the mitten. Let's get back here. And like, let's run it back basically. I'm surprised that Saddiq Bey is going to Atlanta because he's a shooter. And that's really weird. Because they have a lot of shooters basically. And I was like, I don't understand. Like I don't know how that's going to work alongside Trey. And it's, like that's going to be weird to me. It seems like if anybody lost it, I don't want to say them because then you look at the Pistons getting James Wiseman and you're like, okay, no, the Pistons lost this. But I don't know, man. I think there is still for James Wiseman to go to a team that is obviously young and rebuilding. I think this is an interesting location move for him, right? That one interested me the most, right? Because I think it's there are a lot of moving parts here. And the Blazers also get 5 second-round picks, which I guess like the 5 second-round picks thing is clearly a topic of discussion today because also the Nets shipped off Jay Crowder for 5 second-round picks. But I don't know, man. That one was a lot of moving parts and it was a lot of interesting results. So I was a fan of that.
All right, and Ryan, what was the one that Jack alluded to, and then it's not the same one that you were going to bring up?
So I have 2. I think in terms of like one, it didn't seem like the biggest trade, but I just think it's going to be the most impactful for like a relevant team. Is actually no, it would be I just completely forgot about because we just talked about it. He's probably right. The Bones Highland being traded, I thought was really odd. But what I was going to say before that was the Thomas Bryant, before I found out about
Yes.
that one, because I do think we've been saying forever they need a backup center for Jokic. I was kind of thinking more of someone like Kelly Olynyk, but this is more just someone who's solid and stable. And I thought was going to, but that's what's weird is like Bones Highland has really been, he's really the only like floor type of floor general they've had.
Yep.
I guess in the backup rotation, maybe like Bruce Brown is doing a little bit of that stuff. He has a little bit of that up his sleeve. But yeah, I thought those two trades were very interesting. Also, the fact that John Wall is leaving LA. They now have Eric Gordon and Bones Highland. It's definitely interesting. And the other one, I know. The other one I was going to, poor Westbrook too.
Yes.
Yes. It was inevitable. I think it was going to happen. Clearly, they weren't happy with him, even though he had made it work.
Yeah.
But it's just unfortunate because there's no other really good fit for Westbrook. I was thinking the only place maybe he could go, and I think this was one people were like would be awful. It would have been awful in the past. But I think if Westbrook was just solely LaMelo Ball's backup, he was only on the floor as point guard when LaMelo Ball's off the floor. And I mean, they're clearly trying to tank. So it's like, yeah, Westbrook, do everything, brick as many shots as you want when LaMelo's out. We're just trying to develop LaMelo and get some assets. And and I think that would be fine, But the other one I was going to say, with just like a team, I guess it just changes like my view on the team and their direction. I really thought Toronto was going to start to like either blow up or just try to make a big play, right? We heard so much about them trying to trade Van Vliet.
Yep.
Mostly OG Anunoby, he was the big one, and
he's still
they didn't trade anyone, and they got a really interesting choice. They got Jacob Poeltl, how do you say it?
Poeltl, you're right, yeah.
From San Antonio. That would have been interesting had he gone to the Celtics. It's a lot to have him would be a lot. With having Rob, but I think given the price that we were going to pay, when it's just like, I think it would have been worth paying to see how it panned out with him. Mm-hmm. But obviously the Raptors really wanted him, and clearly I'm assuming they're going to move Gary Trent Jr. to the bench, move Siakam back to the 4, and put Poeltl in at the 5. It makes their team better, but this is a team, right? Clearly they're not working. You're just adding another piece in. We'll see if having more of a classic rim protector to let Siakam do more of the other stuff again. But again, it's like, there's just a lot. It's like right? We know Siakam kind of likes to facilitate. We know Scotty likes to facilitate. Van Vliet is good for that for a point guard because he can move off the ball. He can shoot. But I just thought it was interesting. And I really did not think this team was going to like make a big move like that to try and get better now. So yeah, those would be my picks.
Yeah, well, awesome job from both of you as always. Jack, anything you want to plug before we get on out of here?
Sure. Best place to follow me is on Twitter, and that's @Jack_Tiernan. You can follow me there for all of the NBA trade deadline stuff, as well as the rest of the season. All-Star break, Jaylen Brown breaking his face. You can also follow me @JackDiscGolfs on Instagram. That's my disc golf account. Doing a lot of more tournaments coming up. Follow me those places.
Yeah, maybe Jaylen will have a full face shield when he comes back.
Hope so.
Cool.
Look like Batman at Grandma.
Who was that? Chauncey Billups back in the day?
Rip Hamilton, maybe?
Rip Hamilton, yes.
The
Yes,
OG.
on the Pistons. That was a good look, I thought. And then, of course, LeBron for one game also had that. Ryan, anything you want to plug, your shout out before we get out of here?
I guess just a wicked good sports blog.
Yes. Yeah, go follow that. That is wickedgoodeverythingsports.com. And of course, you can follow the channel on Twitter @WickedGoodSport, and then we're on Instagram and TikTok @WickedGoodSports. And then the overall channel is on Twitch at twitch.tv/wickedgoodeverything. Guys, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me, Brian.
Yeah, thanks for having us, bro.
Of course. And we'll see you in the next one.